Coach Summer here, and this video is all about best practices for shoulder mobility. So we're going to go through several phases of assessing shoulder mobility. And the first thing I'd love for you to do is to start with your own shoulder mobility screen by reaching two closed fists behind your back in both directions and taking a picture so that you can see how much distance is between your two hands prior to getting started with today's mobility tutorial. First principle for best practices in getting shoulder mobility quickly and efficiently is to always prime your shoulders with shoulder-specific mobility drills. So I'll give you a couple ones that you can try it at home. The first one is called shoulder screws. Elevate the shoulder, the scapula, rotate the arm bone in its socket, protract the scap towards the midline, and then screw the hand in the opposite direction, and then unscrew. So again, identify three phases of the shoulder: elevation, rotation, and protraction, and then working in the opposite direction. You can add a diagonal squat. We call these shoulder screws with diagonal squats. And really just working on over-exaggerating that movement. A common misalignment is someone will just go into rotation, missing that elevation piece, and then missing that piece of scapular depression on the way down. So ideally, you'll perform about 10 repetitions of your shoulder screws. You'll follow that up with walking over to a wall and finding your open chain mobility drills against a wall. So for this one, you've got a closed fist and start with backward circles, moving the hand all the way up to the vertical torch position, rotating the arm back so that the palm faces away and you're feeling a stretch along the pec, the front of the chest, and then down. So again, you'll find that rotation as you're reaching back. So if I was to do it from this side, reach back like I'm jabbing a sword into the back wall, slide past the hip, versus just me trying to keep my hand this way the whole time. So I want to find that natural rotation of the shoulder as I move through my 10 open chain shoulder circles backwards, forwards, and you can even advance this by going across into a figure 8. So across the body and then back, across, and back, just syncing those up. So 10 on each side, 10 forward, 10 back. Then you're ready for your dowel mobility drills. So you'll start with the dowel just right in front of your thighs. Take a nice firm grip, so grip confirmation. Start by just elevating your dowel to shoulder height. Rip the dowel apart with your hands and then bring it back down. 5 to 10 reps. Depending on if there's any pain, you'll want to back off on the height. After you've performed your 5 to 10 reps, then you can move the dowel overhead. Again, the whole goal here is finding grip confirmation and generating torque and scapular stability. So from behind, that looks like this. I elevate, I rip, I pack, I hold. I'm co-contracting my inner core as I'm doing that as well. Your 5 to 10 reps, and then progressively moving back into this position. You can open up your hands a bit here and then breathe right where you feel a stretch. So you're breathing into, again, your front lines, the front of your pec and your front of your delt. Don't force it. If you have any old injuries, it might feel a little crunchy as you move back here. Eventually, over time, you'll be able to move your dowel all the way around. I call it flossing the shoulders, and it's just a really nice way to start building on your shoulder flexibility. And then you can recheck your shoulder mobility, again, after the open and closed chain, and see any small improvements. Be really careful not to rib flare here, but try to keep your ribs knitted in. The next phase of going into shoulder mobility is utilizing a RAD Roller or self-myofascial release kit. So I'll walk you through 3 really powerful self-myofascial release drills that you can do at home to start loosening up bound fascia and restoring mobility to your joints. So the first one, you can start lying on your back, grabbing yourself a RAD round. So this one, your goal and objective is to start to knead the bound fascia in the front delt and in the pec minor. So this is an area that often becomes really adhered, really tight. So we start by just closing the eyes and breathing and kneading, which means I'm grabbing my ball. I'm not doing the old pizza roll here. I'm grabbing, digging into the bound fascia where it feels adhered and moving in a slow circular pattern. This is referred to as kneading. Second phase, I can find my most tender spot, pin it, drag it in towards the midline as I reach my arm up and overhead, and notice I'm implementing my scapular and humerus rotation. So I start down here, I pin, I reach, and watch how my hand kind of rotates in and then shoulder packs at the bottom. or we could call that the top. It depends on where you're standing. So you would perform that on both sides. Always want to keep things even. I'm going to cruise through quite a few mobility drills so that you can see how these tools work. They're amazing for just really creating a long-term change in your fascia. So after you roll your pec and your delt, really important that you find a closed chain mobility stretch that's going to target that area. So your prone scorpion is a great one to implement right after rolling because it reinforces the stretch in that fascia so that your body and fascia remember, all right, this is my new range of motion. This one targets the T-spine. So you'll want to place the RAD ball, the RAD roller, right about here where the most gummed up part of your fascia is. And I've got several awesome drills. I use this one with my private coaching clients. We also use it in mindful mechanics. So firstly, you'll just start with that RAD roller placed underneath your back, starting with breath. Inhale through the nose. Pause and exhale. Aim for about 5 breaths, just relaxing into it. Second phase, initiate pelvic tilts. So you're scooping your pubic bone towards your navel and extending. So creating a big gap underneath your back. Tilt and extend and tilt and extend. Again, staying with your parasympathetic breathing is huge. Next phase, you can move into leg drop. So moving the legs from one side, inhale, to the other side. So you're concentrating the force on either side of the ball here, which if you have one side of your back that's more restricted, there's more bound fascia there, you're gonna definitely feel that as you're shifting your weight from side to side. And it might be just small movements. You don't have to go all the way down, but again, just staying with your breath, staying in that calm parasympathetic zone. Next phase, hands behind the head. Think of like washing your hair. Lift your head and shoulders, almost like you're doing a crunch, but keeping a neutral spine. Scoop the pubic bone forward, and then come back down. Again, elevate, scoop pubic bone towards navel, and then back down. Last one here, elevate, and then back down. Second phase, you can elevate, lift your hips off the ground, allow the ball to travel down towards the thoracolumbar junction, which is in the middle of the back, and then extend as you come back. Scoop the pubic bone towards the navel, become concave, glide up. We call this flushing, and then inhale as you come back. This can be really, really intense for people, so I encourage you if you're feeling discomfort at higher than a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, that you just work on regressing that, just tilting forward and back. And then lastly, you can take your hands between your knees like this, so shoot energy through your hands, reach back, 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 and then let your hands come as far as they will go to the ground. And this is a moment where your thoracic spine gets to be in extension under slight load, because your arms are the lever. Inhale. They're the lever for the movable joint, the fulcrum, which is your in your thoracic spine, right where the RAD ball is placed. So inhale, and then you can exhale here. And let's say you're feeling really adventurous and you're like, I really want to tackle that area. You could also use the block and elevate your RAD ball and get a little bit more leverage that way. So in this case, I'd place that in the same spot. This technique, you're shooting energy out through your hands actively, arms are straight, reach back, and notice I'm just able to go a little bit farther down here. That is a really more of an advanced move, so just be mindful that you'll want to work up to that. And if you feel any pain or discomfort, switch it up, regress. Start with the basics, start with breath. And as you finish that, you'll want to pair that with a mobility drill that targets your thoracic spine. Starting in child's pose, arms extended. Step to your outer lunge, so right foot on the outside of the hand, squeeze the knee against the arm. Level 1 would be taking your hand and drawing up like you're pulling a bow out of a quiver. So notice I'm touching my hand along the sternum fascia, unfurling one joint at a time, screwing my light bulb into the ceiling, packing the shoulders, keeping this bottom arm packed. Find your corkscrew, find your torque, inhale. So you could do 5 repetitions of this mobility drill, holding, or closing the connect chain, squeeze the outer knee against the arm, and if you have the mobility here, you don't have any restrictions or balance impediments, that you could go all the way up here. And then level 3, I'm doing this from an extended side angle pose. This is for somebody that has that posture in their practice. So of course, you'll want to find the level that works for you and perform anywhere from 5 to 8 repetitions, integrating breath. And what that does, it allows the fascia in your mid-back, your upper thoracic spine, to start to become a little bit less adhered, which is going to help your shoulder mobility overall. Hope you guys are enjoying geeking out on shoulders as much as I am. It's my favorite thing to talk about, and it really, really helps people understand that you can change. Your fascia is malleable. It's a crystalline matrix. If you look at it under a microscope, it kind of looks like cotton candy or a big spider web, like Halloween, sort of that stretchy spiderweb sort of material, and it adapts to the forces placed upon it, and it adapts best when you integrate parasympathetic breathing. So the last one I'll show you today is really, really great. You just lie down on your back, and you'll place this guy right, I'll just show you here before I lay down. So right about here. So it's that spot when you go get a massage where you're like, just get in there. It's really commonly bound. And let's see, so we're here. And firstly, I'm gonna locate the zone where it feels most adhered and most ropey. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fix myself. All right, here we go. I'm right on that spot. So first phase here. Take the hand up towards the ceiling and working on unsticking the shoulder. So move your arm up towards the ceiling, back and down. So notice how my shoulder is kind of going in this circular pattern, kind of like the wheels of a train. Phase 1. And then phase 2, I can take my hand across, moving in a figure 8 pattern so that the load is being dispersed differently in different zones based on where my arm is. And I can also tilt my pelvis forward and back to massage that area. I can do slight little lifts as well, just like I did before. Breathing. Inhaling as I extend. And exhaling on the work phase. And maybe even inching my pelvis down to find a new location. And then starting that whole sequence over again. And the mobility drill that would be excellent to do right after you roll out that zone is to lie prone on your belly and take your arm across your body with palm facing up. And then your other hand shoots down like you're reaching it deep into your pocket. Roll down, pack your shoulders, release the fascia underneath the shoulder blade. So notice I'm really active here. I'm not just like loosey-goosey. I'm just really, really tight and working on scapular depression with the shoulder. Working on that scapular depression. And again, you'll always want to make sure you target both sides. So those are some drills that you can implement to start understanding where your mobility restrictions lie and really gauging your own progress by utilizing your breath and utilizing different tools like self-myofascial release tools and RAD Roller tools. And if you need more support, you can always check out my online studio. I have a full course called Pure Mobility, which you can find on the FlowShallow website under online courses. Highly recommend taking a deep dive into fascia. You're going to learn a lot about your functional movement, your range of motion, and about where your compensation patterns lie.